everybody. Welcome to Arrow on Target. We should redo
that. We should, but we're live, so we shouldn't do that.
It's true. We shouldn't do that because we're live.
It's it's like it's one of those balances whenever you have a live show. It's
forget it. We'll close it. We're rolling it again.
Okay, we're gonna roll it again.
Hey everybody, welcome to Arrow on Target. We are your hosts.
You can find us both on Twitter at JohnWright777
and ChrisWright250. Present and accounted for.
I like how we both pointed,
raised our hands.
Hello, I am here.
Yes. So this week on Arrow,
my goodness,
what was this one called?
This one was called City of Blood, which it was like if you knew about the title beforehand, you kind of just assumed what was going to happen.
So whenever I hear the name City of Blood, I think about lots of people dying, rivers of blood. But it's also alluding to the fact that Brother Blood, Sebastian Blood,
it's literally his city right now.
It's
he is the mayor now. That was how we began the episode. He was being inaugurated as mayor.
Before we dig in,
yes,
there was far less action than I thought there would be in this. It's basically, and they didn't even bill it like this because there was no to be continued at the end.
Right. It's like a two-parter.
It's a two-parter for sure. And they should have done part one, part two.
I honestly think it's like a three-parter, but I feel like those last three episodes are going to be like a three-parter, but I don't know. It's I don't think they could have done that. So,
I think what's interesting is we only have 2 episodes left.
Yeah.
So I think this next episode will be Oliver's showdown with Blood and the army.
Okay.
And they'll probably bring in Argus.
And maybe Slade is the finale.
Slade is the finale.
So you think that Slade's not going to really get involved, even though there's literally an army of Deathstrokes out there?
No, because he's always been he's the instigator. He's put all this in place.
Because Blood is literally the pawn.
Yeah.
Like Oliver proposed.
Exactly. I mean, and so Slade's not going to get his hands dirty with all that.
Okay, so here we go. I think that in the end, Blood will realize that he was the pawn in this. I think that he's gonna get his comeuppance, or whatever you want to call it.
Comeuppance?
Comeuppance. I don't even know what that word means.
Comeuppance.
Whatever it is. I think he's gonna get what's coming to him.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yes, he's gonna get what's coming to him because it's he's all along he's had this whole power. He's giving me what I want. He's giving me his power and stuff like this. And I think that's gonna come back to bite him in the end and be his downfall.
Yeah.
Prediction. That was my prediction.
I like it. Okay, so this week, everything's all kind of set. We saw we spent a lot of time trying to find Oliver, which we didn't know he was gone in the first place.
Well, I mean, that made sense, because it's this picked up, I think, 3 days or 4 days. I mean, probably later in the week after Moira. And so, we hadn't seen him for a while.
I do want to compare this for a second to...
the season opener?
No.
Oh. Because we couldn't find Oliver during the season opener either.
I remember that. And he was on the island that time.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Why does Oliver...
He just kind of goes off, whenever things don't go his way, he just, goes off the reservation, just...
Mopes.
Yeah, he just, goes and hides.
No, I was going to compare it to Smallville. I think it was the end of season 3 with that funeral. I don't remember whose funeral it was, but it was really cool. And
was it Lex Luthor's father?
Possibly.
I don't remember.
It was whenever Clark and Lana Lang, they're in the rain, and they, it was cool.
When weren't those two in the rain, looking at each other longingly in the eyes?
That's true. But he looks better wet. I mean, the clothes are clingier that way. How else are you going to do it?
Well, I mean, as a superhero, you're in spandex most of the time.
You can't have just some superhero with water guns as arms to make him wet. You got rain. It's more natural.
It feels like the universe wants him to be.
But let's compare it to that for a second. And that was one of my favorite parts of that series. It was a very just beautifully shot episode, or sequence at least.
Yeah.
And it had that time after time a good rendition of that.
A good cover. Yeah.
And let's also compare it to.
What are we comparing this to?
I'm going to compare it to something here.
Did it escape you? Did it just
no, it's there. I can envision. Oh, let's compare it to the Rain funeral sequence in Amazing Spider-Man.
Yes.
The most recent Amazing Spider-Man.
Yes.
Not the one that comes out this weekend, but the last one.
Yeah. Amazing Spider-Man 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I will say, it is lacking a little. Like
Just
I was
this one was lacking a little bit?
It looked cool, but like they didn't do as much with it artistically as I think that they could.
I felt like it was less about the funeral
and more about Oliver's absence.
More about the blood. I think the only thing you were meant to get from the funeral was his absence.
And Rochef. Oh, so like Oliver's absence. Blood is there.
Yes.
And
I mean, because it was the whole monologue from Blood about how the city is in this, and so like
that's true.
It was literally just setting. I think this episode, because like if you look at the name, if you look at how it started, if you look at how it finished, this was Blood from start to finish.
That's
and
true.
It's textbook Blood, because it's like he was still fooling people. Somebody knew. It was textbook like what we've done with him in the past, and so I think that this character just is that to this universe.
So this is my big question regarding all of this.
Yeah.
So like this is happening in Starling City,
Yeah.
and whenever things like this happened in like Gotham in Dark Knight Rises, like it makes like they wall off the city. No one can get in or out. He says he has a nuclear bomb that's going to go off if the military tries to come in. There's no explanation for why like the military or the government or Argus doesn't come into Starling City now and stop all this from happening.
I think that part of that might be dealt with next episode, but I think that this episode, I mean, it's like at the end, and you could like chalk this up to like pacing of this episode or something, and the fact that we had to have so much explanation of what was going on and what that plan actually was, because we haven't.
What is the plan?
Well, like I whenever Blood outlined it for Oliver, it is they're going to destroy the city so that the city will be more receptive to Blood's, I guess, revolutionary way that he's going to rebuild the city. And this is a villainous.
Didn't that technically already happen last season? And that's what he was using to rise to power anyway. He was just a lowly, like, a comptroller or something like that? In the Glades.
He was the...
And he used the destruction of the city last season to rise to power. Doesn't he already have the trust of the city?
Yes and no. See, think about this. Think about Star Wars. I'm just going there.
All right.
Let's think about Star Wars. Think about Emperor Palpatine. Which, by the way, spoilers for Star Wars. But if you haven't watched the Star Wars trilogies, just get out. I don't even know. No, you can stick around. Anyway, Emperor Palpatine did all of these things. He already had power. He was the guy. Like, he was the chancellor after the end of things, but he didn't turn it off there. He created a war and a crisis in which he could be more extreme with the government.
That's true.
And, in fact, do away with a lot of the freedoms that people had. That's true. Because they were scared. Just because they wanted his leadership. So I think that's the way that Blood sees this going in his mind. That's not the way it's going to play out, because Slade... I mean, you can't get around the fact that Slade is just this evil dude.
What is Slade's ultimate goal in allowing all this to take place with Blood? Like, why does Slade need an army? Why does he want Blood? Like, does he believe that the destruction of the city will mortally wound Oliver?
I think that he thinks that he's trying to take everything away from him. So he took away his business with Rochef, and he took away his mother just now, and that was a means to an end, which, by the way, I think I called it last week. I will go ahead and say that. I called that Moira knew that she had to die. She had to be the one. And at the beginning of this episode...
I thought we debunked that.
That she knew, or that she didn't know?
She didn't know.
I think she did know, though.
I think she knew that someone had to die, but she didn't want it to be Thea. She knew someone in that situation was going to die.
But this week we established the fact that we knew that Moira was the one that was going to die before she died because of the file on his computer.
But she didn't know that.
I almost think she did, though. There was almost the recognition in her mind, like in her face, whenever she stood up to like take the bullet. I almost, because she said there's only one way this night ends.
By someone dying. That's what she knew.
I don't know. I still propose that Moira knew more than she was letting on.
Let's move on. You think that, I don't.
Okay. So I guess where we're looking at, like, he's trying to take away the city from Oliver, because that was season 1. He's all about the city. His identity was wrapped within cleaning up the city. And
is it anymore, though?
I think that he's protecting the city because even like with the exchange with Laurel at the end, she said, this city needs you.
Yeah.
And so, but if the city is destroyed or is taken over by a hostile force, which is essentially led by Slade, I mean, I think that would go a long way to just even more destroying Oliver. The next step would be taking away his friends and things, but I think that maybe this plays into that a little bit too, because we've got Diggle going up against Rochef now, who is like souped up, maxed out Rochef. She's
I like her double blades.
Oh my gosh, that was cool.
That's pretty cool. It's very well. I mean, she's just basically a female version of Deathstroke.
Yeah. Well, and also, you know, she's got all that ninja training, and so like she didn't need to be trained like these other dudes, the escapees from the prison or whatever.
Right.
It's like they may be brawlers, they may be whatever, but she like has an elite level of, I guess, assassin skills, if you will. That they don't have, it seems like, because she went toe to toe with Oliver for a minute there, like, and held her own for a little while.
That's true.
Twice, I think. So we'll see how that plays with the superpowers.
That's
and
true.
Against Diggle.
Okay, so.
Okay, here's the other thing.
Yeah.
Is there a cure? Is that why we got a call? Felicity got the phone call from Star Labs.
It's entirely possible. That's what they were working on. Either that or Barry woke up. Those are the two reasons that they would call her.
Hadn't thought about that one. Holy cow.
But we haven't heard any rumors about Flash coming back into any of these episodes this season. And this is kind of Oliver's fight with Slade. And so I don't know that we'll actually see that. So it's more likely that there's a cure.
Yeah, and there's more. It's more Oliver's fight even than Argus, because we did go see Amanda Waller.
Well, that's my whole point. Like, if they know this is all about to happen, why doesn't she, you know...
I don't think she realized that it was going to happen, because they told her that Slade had a bunch of superpowered Mirakuru.
Yeah, and she was worried about it.
I know, she was very worried about it.
So why doesn't she send in, you know, the appropriate authorities?
So here we go. I think, and this might be spoilers for some people, but I think there was a tweet or a Facebook status from, I think it was Stephen Amell, or maybe it was one of the other actors. Maybe it was... Paul Blackthorne. Anyway, where it said in the finale, literally everyone shows up.
Everyone that we've seen in this universe so far.
That was the implication, was that literally everyone that you could possibly think that could show up does show up.
Maybe that includes the Flash.
So that might include the Flash. That might include all of the guys from Argus.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, like, there's a whole lot to do in the next two episodes. You know, like, I almost wish that it was like a 2-hour season finale.
I really feel like it should be like this, like these, like I said, these 3 episodes feel like they're gonna go back to back to back, and so I think separating it by a week might be a misstep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I don't know, maybe.
I agree with that.
I don't
know. So do you think that Thea is going to what's going on here?
Okay, so Thea, she is literally just like, think about this. She left that house, her home, for the last house. She was born in that she lived in that house, and she walks out of it literally alone.
Because of her own choice.
But not of her own choice.
Yes.
Oliver's not telling her anything.
No, that's not the point. Even if he told her something, she wouldn't trust him.
I don't know. I feel like he had the opportunity this episode to tell her something, and like she would have accepted it. Thereafter, she had that conversation with Walter.
No, well,
you think she would have accepted it?
There's no reason for him to tell her he's the Arrow, and I'm going to go, you know,
sacrifice myself for the city. Yeah,
like there's no reason to tell her that, because she'll just try to stop him, and you know he doesn't want that. He doesn't want somebody to try to stop him.
That's true. But I don't know. I think eventually we will tell her. I think you're right. Eventually we will tell her.
Yeah, but I don't understand any of her motivations. Like, she's just like pushing everyone away, and why?
Yeah. Well, we also put her in crisis at the end of this episode because of all the Deathstroke minions.
She's stuck in the train station with one of the guys. Or whatever.
All the main characters from the show, even down to Detective Lance, is in a crisis.
Except for Felicity.
Well, Felicity is in the truck right outside where Diggle is. Is that correct?
No.
No?
We didn't say where she was, but she wasn't close.
Yeah. Okay. But she is in like a mobile place. So I don't know. Yeah, you're right. Felicity's not really. So maybe she's the only one that can go and get the cure.
Well, this is the thing.
From Star
Even
Labs,
if there is a cure,
buddies.
you know, how do they deliver this thing?
Aerosol.
I mean, sure.
Just get a couple crop dusting planes, drop it over the city. No, that would be really bad.
Yeah.
What are the side effects of this cure? Like, holy cow.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, we'll see what happens with that.
Roy,
yeah, like...
if we have a cure...
Well, she would immediately go cure Roy.
Yep, that's what would happen. She would go pick up the thing from Starlight. She's in the
But
truck
even Roy
already.
he can't do anything against this army. You know?
No, I mean, there's like 40 of them, or 50 of them, or 100 of them. I don't know. I don't know how many there are, but there's a bunch on that bridge.
Going back to, alluding to the Amazing Spider-Man again, it'd have to be like a delivery system akin to that.
Yeah.
That we saw, or airborne,
Yeah, I mean, if it was going to cure all of them, yes. Or it would have to be a situation where maybe they have to deliver it hand-to-hand combat-wise.
Mm-hmm.
So, the other thing, about this episode not having as much action, it definitely felt like that one episode that is building. We had this big peak last week. We kind of have this like kind of down episode this week where we're just kind of like letting things settle, seeing where things are, and then I guess ramping up from here. I don't know. How did you feel about that? How did you feel about the lowered pace? Almost, and the lack of action.
I feel like it was really slow through the first 2/3 of the show.
Yeah.
Like we didn't need all the moping from Oliver or Thea.
Yeah.
You can.
I did love the scene. Happening. I did love the scene with them, and that was a very short scene, but it was a very nice scene. And it showed some good sibling kind of interaction.
Yeah, and that's the relationship that I've always liked between them.
Yeah,
and I want to see more of it. And we could have had more room for that had we cut out on something else. But.
Well, so we also saw the return of Walter. And so I think that might have driven down the pace a little bit because we were inserting his character into Thea's life as almost a life coach type situation, which he is. That's what he is. But I could have done with one of those scenes rather than 2 or 3.
So the something that I question... are we past the point now? Remember that piece of paper that they were trying to get Thea to sign that would save all their money? Are we past that point? Can that no longer happen? Or
I guarantee that can no longer happen. I guarantee that. And I will have to go back and watch because did she not sign that just out of bitterness, or did they not tell her about that?
No, they told her about it. He wanted her to sign it. She signed it she didn't sign it out of bitterness. She wanted Oliver and her mother to lose all their money.
Well, I mean, in that case, I love the exemplification of where her position in life, where she leaves the house and then goes to the train station, and it's like, no, you're going to be in economy class, not in business class.
That's what I'm saying. All of this is her own choice.
Yeah.
She's moping around, oh, pity me, poor me, blah, blah, blah. But it's all of her own fault. And maybe not directly, someone has obviously set these events in motion, but she has made choices along the way that has... pushed everyone away from her.
Yeah.
That's the reason why she has now lost her bar. She thought she could survive on the income of the club.
Right.
And she's lost that.
Well, and even if she had signed that, they wouldn't have had everything. They would have had most of their assets and most of their things taken away from them, but they would have had at least a little bit.
Right.
It would have saved a little bit of what it was. I don't know. I don't know where that's going to come in because obviously being a vigilante in this city is not cheap.
Right.
So where in the world is Oliver in the next season? I don't know where we see Arrow in the next season because if he doesn't get any of his money back or doesn't have a way to get Queen Consolidated back...
I think he'll get it back somehow.
I just don't know.
Something I just thought of that kind of relates to this week but also relates more to last week. Last week, we saw Oliver convince Moira to get back in the race.
Yes.
And not secede.
Yes.
Do you think if she had removed herself from the race and basically given the win to
I don't think she would be dead right now.
I think she'd still be alive.
I really do. I mean,
but we didn't see really any of that weighing on Oliver. We saw him he's more throwing another pity party that the fact that he can't do anything.
By the time he realized that Blood was a pawn of Slade, we really didn't have much time in the episode to figure that out. For him to deal with that emotionally, where it's literally his fault for convincing her to do this. But that was the right call. Let's just be honest, it was the right call for her to stay in the race.
True. You make the right call. The calls you can whenever you're.
But that doesn't mean that Oliver's a self-destructive person. That doesn't mean that he's not going to blame himself for this.
Right.
He definitely will.
Right.
For sure. Was there anything... I mean, it's there's a lot of things that happened, a lot of building things that happened.
Yeah, but, it looks like we're going to, see more of this, a lot more action. The preview looked like it was just pretty much...
Straight action.
I can see, all of the next episode just being straight up, action.
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of, sitting around and planning kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I will say the other thing that, we again saw where they insert Laurel into this, dangerous scenario for no reason. And it's very comic booky. And that's fine. You know, Lois Lane always gets in these positions and stuff like that.
But that doesn't mean you have to do it in such a way that, like, makes it feel awkward. Like, her character just feels awkward all the time. And it's surprising to me that we've seen so much, like, they've tried to develop her so much. And for her still to be this exact same character that came on the scene in season 1, episode 1, it's really...
Wearing her pants.
I just feel like it's just really annoying. Like, I just feel like it's for Laurel to not have... Like, she's had development, but she's ended up in the exact place that she was
Except she just knows who he is. That's the only difference.
Yeah, but that's not really a development thing. She's not a different person, really. I mean, she's the same person.
We also don't know where Sarah is still. And if they're saying everyone's coming back for the finale, it means we'll see Sarah.
It means we'll see her here again.
Will we see
Nyssa?
Yeah,
Al Ghul?
Nyssa Al Ghul.
Maybe. I mean, maybe that's where she was headed. Maybe she was going to get some help from them or something. Maybe we'll see. I mean, we definitely will see Malcolm.
Well, we saw... What about this? Let's posit this.
Yeah.
Okay, so Malcolm's going to be in the next one.
Yeah.
I don't know how he's going to play into this. Whose side he's going to be on. Who knows?
Do you think he's going to come and talk to Thea, maybe? I think if I was him, that would be my first move. Is like if I was like if it was like no, I would go and talk to her. He wanted to
tell Thea, but I think only to hurt
Oliver,
Moira, and Oliver.
Yeah,
and so
to control Moira and to hurt Oliver. Is how I would say.
If he's, I could see him actually being genuinely worried about Thea.
Yeah,
because she's his only child.
Yeah.
And. Like, I could see him coming back, like, seeing what's going on in Starling City, knowing that Moira's dead.
Maybe being the unexpected, like, ally here and taking out some of those Deathstroke minions.
But this is the thing. If Sarah shows up with Nyssa Al Ghul,
all that's over. Yeah, it's a face-off between them and the cities in the crossfire.
Yeah.
Yikes. And that very well could happen, and I almost think that could happen between season 2 and 3. I think that we could be dealing a lot with that interaction in season 3.
Do you think we'll leave this season finale, like, will the city be in, will this be a cliffhanger to next season, you think? Not in that, Slade will be alive, or Brother Blood will be alive, but in that, maybe... instead of them having control of the city, Malcolm Merlyn now has control of the city again.
I definitely think that, judging from like last season finale and how emotional that was for everyone, and how much like you just were unsure about things at the end of that, I think that we will wrap up whatever's going on, but we will be very, very unsure about where things stand in season 3. So I think that it's gonna be more so. It's gonna be elevated, like the intensity level. Everything's gonna be built a little bit more. But I think it will probably be like everything's kind of up in the air, where it's like, where does such and such stand? Where did such and such end up? That sort of thing. So I think that we will see a definite end of the arc. But I think that a lot of things will be left up in the air to like continue on with season 3, because that's the best way to keep people involved, where it's like you keep people in a level of limbo there, where it's like, I don't know what happened to such and such. So maybe something like that'll happen. I mean, there's so many characters, I can't imagine wrapping everyone's arcs by the end.
So this is definitely not as strong an episode as last week.
That's true, but
I still say hoods up.
Hoods up. Maybe not up as much. I don't know.
It's a paler shade of green hood.
It's like it's a building episode for sure.
This color green rather than arrow green.
Big plug for Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew, the drink of champions.
Anyway, so the only other thing I wanted to say was the ending of this episode felt a little rushed.
It did, and like I said, if you view this as like a part 1 of a part 2, it makes more sense. Yeah, because a good 2/3 of this was we're just sitting around talking
about our feelings.
Exactly, and which
are legitimate feelings.
They're legitimate, and it was still a good it wasn't a bad episode. This wasn't like the courtroom episode from earlier in the season, right? But I do think that by not making it a part 1 and part 2, they kind of set your expectations up incorrectly.
Yes, I will agree with that. A lot of things happened, but not a lot of things nothing really like hit a climax or anything. Yeah. We didn't hit that moment and then
the biggest part was whenever Oliver's fighting that other guy, and Laurel shows up and hits him in the back of the head.
Yeah, but even that
Although,
was
how is
literally
she
like
going to hit this guy in the back of the head with a wrench and knock him down?
That's a good question. She did have self-defense training from her dad. She could have hit him in just the right spot.
We'll just go with that.
Just the right spot.
All right.
We'll just go with that.
All right.
I will say that this episode was like just straight, straight build, all the way to the end. There was no build, climax, resolution.
There
was none of that.
That's all gonna be next week.
I even think next week we'll start off and we'll build as well.
I don't. I think that next week we'll end this kind of arc, and then I think
maybe we'll begin at the end of episode.
Season finale will be, the climactic point.
I like it.
It'll be its own kind of thing.
All right, some quotes. We've got, "I can save this city if it ends tonight," or "if this ends tonight." So I mean, it's like Oliver, whenever he was going off, he said, "I can save the city."
If this ends,
I think it might say. I think I might like
this
autocorrect.
ends tonight.
Yes, I think autocorrect kind of screwed me on that one.
Yeah, that didn't sound very impactful.
No, it didn't at all. I did like the fact that Laurel used the words "human weapon," and that was kind of cool. That and every time that's used, it's like it's been used about Hawkeye before in the Marvel universe. It's just kind of this mental idea that it's like he's a regular dude, but he's a weapon.
I like it.
There was. Oh, you mentioned that you hoped that Oliver said, "You have failed this city" to Blood, and he didn't.
No, but he has. No, I hope whenever he kills him.
Oh, he says that?
"You have failed the city." Oliver Blood.
So awesome.
Oliver Blood. Sebastian Blood.
You have failed this city. Yeah, that would be pretty awesome.
He needs to say it again. He hasn't said it in a while.
He hasn't said it in a long time, since season 1.
No, he said it earlier this season at some point.
Did he really?
I can't remember when. He said it.
Okay. There was the guy on the sub whenever they were doing that whole thing. Which, by the way, we haven't talked about that at all. There was just like a building moment there too on the island. Like there's nothing really.
Oh, the island.
Yeah.
I don't really understand what's happening right now.
So on the island, they're trying to get off the island and take it. Yeah, and so they're going to try to take this submarine off the island. But so
Slade's still on the boat, right?
Yes.
So they're trying to take the submarine to the boat?
I don't know if they're trying to take the submarine to the boat or the submarine just
keeps
go
alluding to the fact that he had the chance to cure Slade.
We're going to see that.
Do they have a cure right now?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I don't know. Like, feels like there's a lot of ground to cover there.
There's a lot of ground to cover everywhere.
And we're kind of thinking like maybe this is how he gets
separated
from Sarah.
Yeah, because something like happened to Sarah. I don't know if that means that Slade got his hands on her again or what.
Yeah.
But maybe it's like maybe she gets kidnapped here, and this is the last we see of Sarah on the island, which would be a shame because I would almost like to see her through next year. But
yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, so there was there's the moment there where the guy's getting in the capsule, and he says, Oliver asks him, he says, you know what the plan is, and he says, I get in, he fires, I steer, and you pray. That was a really good moment. I really enjoyed that. And he says Oliver literally turns around and says, I wasn't thinking about saving anybody. It's not who I am. And the guy goes, maybe not yet.
Right.
So that was a really cool moment as well. Yeah. And then I can't remember what was the line. I didn't write it down. What was the line wherever he said that he was talking to the guy, and the guy said that the doctor had said it to him. Like,
oh, he said a hero is someone who will give up his life to save others.
Yeah, and that was a cool moment as well. Then there was Sebastian Blood where he goes, nothing's going to happen to me here, whenever he tells his bodyguard. And the look in Diggle's eye whenever they get on the elevator.
That was one of the best parts.
Oh my goodness, that was one of my favorite moments.
Diggle just looks at him and smiles. It was awesome.
That was really good. Dude, Diggle is so threatening. Diggle. He's probably my favorite ancillary character. Like he's my favorite secondary character on the show, for sure.
Yeah.
I wish we would see more.
Me too.
I can never get enough of Diggle. And then there was you're going to wish I was beating you to the guy whenever he kidnaps him. And then when Felicity comes in with her laptop and wipes out the dude's bank accounts.
Yeah,
so that was a
awesome.
good moment. That was a good moment. All right, that's it.
Yep. So you can check us out online at StayOnTargetPodcast.com. We have a regular podcast this week. We have Royden Lepp. He's a comic artist and writer. We have an interview with him. He has a new book, Rust Volume 3.
Really good interview.
The Death
really
of
good
the Rocket
guy.
Boy.
Yeah.
Coming out next week. We also talk about Free Comic Book Day, which is this Saturday. You can also check us out on YouTube, and we have a podcast. This goes up in audio form on iTunes. You can find that all at StayOnTargetPodcast.com. So that's it for this week. We'll see you next time on
Arrow on Target.